Welcome to the Country Hipster podcast. My name is Paul. I am the Country Hipster. This is my brother Adam, my co-host here at the Country Hipster podcast.
Hey guys.
Before I forget, you can't make sure you check out the Unholy Four. That is the band who does our intro music. It is a song called Dirty Knife. They are out of Charlottesville, Virginia. They have stuff on Spotify. They have stuff on Bandcamp. I think they might have a YouTube page. I don't really know, but apparently they have a Facebook page as well. So check out the Unholy Four with the number 4. Don't spell out 4. It's kind of like with the Birmingham 6, people will like do Birmingham and then the number 6 and look for my band, and they'll be like, so I was looking your band up, and so you guys play industrial music, huh? And I'm like, no, that is the 1990s industrial band from the Netherlands, the Birmingham 6 with the number. We are the Birmingham 6 SIX. But it's funny because like people will go to tag us and stuff. And they'll tag like the other band and stuff. So I really hope those guys in the Netherlands are like, what the fuck?
Like, what is this? Yeah.
What is this? This is Irish music.
Is that how you talk?
I don't know
how they talk.
I do horrible accents.
I apologize if that was insensitive to anybody in the Netherlands. But Paul, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
You, and give credit where credit's due. You're always talking about the Unholy Four and how they do our intro music.
Yes.
But what you have failed to mention countless times, what is this, episode 6?
Episode 6, season 1, episode 6.
So you failed to mention 6 times, 7 if you include the pilot. Who does our outro music?
That's the Birmingham 6. Would move on. You know what I mean? I figured it's a big enough hit that people recognize.
Yeah, it's popular enough where people are like, oh, that's exactly what that is.
Yeah. So what are you drinking?
I am drinking Nugget Nectar, which, if I'm not mistaken, Bob brought over last week.
Yes.
I've always been a fan. I've told the story before where Paul and I basically got a private tour of the Trogs Brewery. I've always been a fan of Trogs, and this one particularly I always enjoy.
Yes. I have from Imprint Brewing, I have a First Person Sipper, which is an IPA. It's a very light IPA, so I'm digging it. It's not it is not very hoppy. It's got a little bit of like the pine cone, but not like that much. That's how I always do it. I mean, but it's more just it's citrusy. It's very, very light, very, very drinkable. It's a very, very crushable beer. And I actually got this. Honestly, I got this because of Jack, my son, who is our editor and director and producer. But he will only admit to being our editor because he is also a huge gamer. And I thought it was funny and kind of cool to say first person sipper instead of first person shooter. Yeah. People in the gaming industry or gaming community know what I'm talking about. People not in the gaming community, just look up first-person shooter. Like, you've played a million of them.
Just look up the GoldenEye video game, Friend 64.
There you go.
You've played it.
I've been horrible at first-person shooters.
Actually, so when I was younger, I used to be able to ride like any amusement park ride. I used to play video games for hours on end. And then one time I was working, and our brother Zach texted me and said, "Hey, Mom and Dad bought us an Xbox 360. And I said, why? And he's like, it's Valentine's Day. I'm like, that's not an excuse to buy your kids an Xbox 360.
No, it's really not.
So with that Xbox 360 came one of the Call of Duties. I think it was Black Ops.
Oh, you know what?
2.
You know what I got for Valentine's Day that year from them? Nothing.
Exactly.
Nothing. A big fat nothing. Yeah, Thanks.
I got Call of Duty Black Ops.
There
2.
you go. You got an Xbox 360 and Call of Duty Black Ops, and I got nothing. Thanks.
From playing Call of Duty.
Also, I was probably like in my mid-20s with 3 kids at that point. So my parents should not have been buying me Valentine's gifts.
Yeah, I think this is when I was like in college too.
Okay, so, yes.
Yeah. So from playing Call of Duty, which is a first-person shooter, it kind of broke me, and I have a very hard time playing modern video games now. Like, I get motion sickness from playing most modern video games, especially first-person shooters.
Yeah, well, you've seen Jack's setup in his room. Like, my son Jack is a very avid gamer, and like has 3 monitors on his desk, and he's like, he builds his own servers and shit. Even as he's a driving game that he's playing, I don't fucking remember what it's called, but it's really cool. And he has like a whole like cage where it has like the pedals and the gear shifts and the steering wheel. But like the one day, so it was like a Friday night, Saturday night or whatever, and I came downstairs to talk to him, but he was in the bathroom. and like the game was like set up, the driving. I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna try it. So I went and I sat down and I just started driving. I don't know if he was playing with other people. I'm just like driving, and he comes back like 5 minutes later. He's like, "The fuck are you doing?" I'm like, "Driving." Like, I don't know. I came down to talk to you about something.
Driving Miss Daisy, motherfucker. Yeah. That's what I'm doing.
Exactly.
Morgan Freeman in this bitch.
So what have you been up to? Anything good besides work?
No, I mean, I've been working a lot. Me and Zach didn't record an episode of Summer Movie Club last week because we were behind on putting out episodes. So I put out the Fargo episode, and I still have the Billy Madison episode to put out. But we just watched Wet Hot American Summer.
Yeah, I love that movie.
For the podcast, which when we recorded Billy Madison, we every 10 episodes we actually watch the movie while we're recording it. So Billy Madison was one of those episodes, and in every episode of the podcast, whoever is hosting comes up with a intro for themselves and the other person based around something on the movie. And me and Zach, like when we figured out we were going to be doing Billy Madison, we literally spent the next week just texting each other intro ideas.
Okay.
We could probably do the same thing for Wet Hot American Summer. It's just such a quotable nonsense movie that we could probably just like there's hundreds and hundreds. Like I'm sitting there watching, I'm like, all of my notes are basically just like funny shit that people say.
That movie is just, it's one of those movies that it's so ridiculously over the top that it makes it funny. So I do like that. So go check out Summer Movie Club wherever you get your podcasts. The same places you get the Country Hipster podcast. If you follow us,
except YouTube. Actually, that's a lie. We do have a video on YouTube.
Oh, you have YouTube? Okay.
We have we had an episode. It was our 2-year anniversary episode, I want to say. We did this thing where like you ever see the thing like people post on Instagram where it's like a 30-day challenge where it's like every day has a different thing you have to post a picture of. Yeah. We did something like that for movies, but basically like we were asking each other the questions without reading the answer, without reading what the thing was. Okay. And we were doing like we ripped off Hot Ones. We called it Not Ones.
All right.
Where we were eating progressively hotter hot wings while we were asking each other these questions.
Ah, nice. There you go.
And we made a YouTube video of it.
There you go. And speaking of YouTube, I realized I was listening to the last episode that I believe was episode 3, which is out. We're at episode 6 now. That at that point we were up to like 14 YouTube subscribers, and we're really fucking happy about that. We are now up to 33 subscribers on YouTube, so we've like doubled that in a few weeks, which we appreciate. So keep subscribing, following us, listen to it on Spotify. I've seen from the analytics people are listening in other places as well, like where they weren't at first. So it's cool, man. We like seriously, like I know I appreciate it. I'm pretty sure Adam does too.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's a dick, but no, I really appreciate you guys tuning in and listening to this and hearing us talk about records and nonsense for a while. And please share it with your friends if you like what you're hearing. Check it out.
That's something me and Zach always said, like on when we do Summer Movie Club. We don't care if like the only people who listen to it are like the 3 people that I used to work with that I know listen to it.
Right.
The fact that anybody else is listening to it is incredibly humbling and incredibly amazing. Just the fact that somebody else has taken the time to listen to our bullshit.
2% of our audience is in Bahrain. Mm-hmm. So if I knew if I could say a Muslim greeting without fucking it up and offending people, I would do that. But thank you to our 2% listeners in Bahrain.
If I'm not mistaken, you could just say Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Bahrain, and everywhere 98% of the people
Which,
in the
if
US.
I'm not mistaken, translates to like peace be on to you or something like that.
All right. Cool.
I think. I can't remember. Someone explained it to me one time, but I can't remember.
I can barely talk, so
yeah, it's true.
Good. So I went Saturday. Katie and I went to Broken Goblet.
Oh, I saw you went for
This is not Croydon Fest 4, which is this is their 4th year doing basically a giant ska fest. I do love ska music. I was talking to some friends about it last night, and they, I say
you've got some ska in your collection.
There's some ska in my 25, so not a lot, because honestly, I don't have that much ska on vinyl, unfortunately. But yeah, so we went to that. It was really good, and And it reminded me, like I was talking to friends of mine yesterday, and it reminded me of, because they were asking how the festival was, and they were trying to explain ska to their kids, and I was like, oh, just do what the meme says. Like, you know, ska is what it sounds like in a 12-year-old boy's head when he gets an extra mozzarella stick in his order. You know what I mean?
No.
It is like the most accurate description of ska. I love it. My friend Tom, who I used to work with in the movie business, and he was my partner at Internet Record Exchange, absolutely hates ska. So anytime like there's anything ska related, I make sure I'm like sending him things.
How do you hate ska? Ska is
he
literally...
He's also a left-handed drummer, so he doesn't really know anything.
Ska is literally just like, at its base, ska is reggae with horns.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, and then even more broken down, it's jazz. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's but no, there were some great bands. We got to see Catch 22, and got to see a local Philly band who's doing their thing right now called Catbite. Check out Catbite if you're local to Philadelphia. They're doing a bunch of touring right now and doing some really good stuff. Got to see the Slackers finally. I've never seen the Slackers as much as I've followed ska for years. Never got to see the Slackers, so I got to see them. This was my third time seeing Fishbone. And Catch 22, and I honestly, it was kind of a blur because I also started getting a little drunk there.
I was thinking, I could have swore I asked you if you wanted to go to a concert at Broken Goblet one time, but it wasn't Broken Goblet. I asked you if you wanted to go to a concert. I asked you if you wanted to go see the Bouncing Souls at Neshaminy Creek.
Oh yeah, I would have gone. I forget. I probably had something going on.
I'm not a huge Bouncing Souls fan.
That'd be a cool place to see them.
But that'd be like I'd really like to see them in that kind of show in that kind of venue.
Yep. So I do have some shows coming up, as this will be published on May the 11th. It should be Thursday, May 11th when you were watching this, which was our original launch date. That was what I actually, if you read the description for the pilot episode,
that was when episode 1 was supposed.
Episode 1 was supposed to come out. So if you read the description of the pilot episode. So I think I explained this before. My thought process was, let's get the pilot done. Let's put out the pilot, and then I'll do a bunch of little like shorts and bonus content for a month, and kind of like get people to learn about the podcast and see what we're talking about. And then I was told, like, Dad, you don't do that, you fucking idiot. And which I think were his exact words.
Yeah.
So Jack won, and we started launching like right away because we did the pilot, and then 2 weeks later we did episode 1. You know, we did the pilot before St. Patrick's Day, so I was pretty fucking busy. But then we did the episode 1 the Monday after St. Patrick's Day, and we've been recording every week since then, which is cool. So 5/11. May 11th was our official launch day. So happy launch day, everybody.
Happy launch day.
And I am wearing the wrong shirt. I was supposed to wear this last week, but instead it's got, for the May the 4th was last week's episode.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
The thing that's on your shirt. How do you pronounce that?
AT-AT.
You say AT-AT?
AT-AT. Yeah. Why?
I say AT-AT.
Well, you're stupid. So
I say we were talking about it before. Me and Zach were talking about it because we're both fans of The Mandalorian.
Okay. I haven't watched a new season yet, so don't say a fucking word.
Technically, it wasn't even pertaining to the new season.
Yeah.
It was pertaining to, I think it was the first season when they're on that planet and they have the little like Endor walkers. We were talking about. Oh no, you know what it was? I'm sorry. It's when we covered Empire. We were talking about what we call them, and I say AT-AT
yeah.
all the way. He's like, yeah, like I think there's a different like it's a very distinct line in the sand between people who say AT-AT and people who just say AT-AT.
Yeah, it's an AT-AT.
Yeah.
It's an AT-AT. Okay, so this is today is Thursday, May 11th. Hopefully you're listening to this when it goes live. So on the 12th, I will be at Spellbound Brewing playing some music with Bob Hurst, who was who was our special guest last week on the Billy Joel episode. And then on the 13th, during the day, I will be at the Philadelphia Fly with my band, the Birmingham Six. Bob's band, the Bogside Rogues, will also be there, as well as a bunch of other great bands that day, including, I believe, the Shanties and the Paul Moore Band. And I forget who else is playing, probably the Natterjacks. Hopefully the Natterjacks are here, because I like those guys. So check that out, the Philadelphia Fly. You can just Google search Philadelphia Fly or Philly Fly, and you'll find information.
Spell that for them.
Fleadh.
Yeah.
It's Irish.
Yeah.
It's a very,
I can't remember what we talked about it before, but Gaelic is a weird
language.
thing.
Yes. And then that night, I'm doing the Fly during the day, and then that night it's the second Saturday of every month. I am at the Horse in Sellersville, so you can come see the Country Hipster play some tunes for you at the Horse. Also, very important to mention this because that's this Sunday, as I'm talking in the future right now, will be Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there and the mothers in our lives, and especially my wife Katie, who we are celebrating our first Mother's Day with Regina. So happy Mother's Day, moms.
But I was going to say specifically to, I thought you were grabbing your drink to say happy Mother's Day to your mom. And because we always drink it.
Yeah. So, happy Mother's Day, Regina.
Happy Mother's Day, Regina.
All right.
I thought you were just thinking, man, I haven't taken a sip in a while. I should make a reference to someone who's passed away so we can take a sip.
It's okay, we could just mention just randomly.
It's really funny. You guys can't see it, but the audio wave, there's there's us talking, and then there's this long pause of us drinking.
What we should do, we should actually make it a thing on the podcast that if we just need to take a sip, just yell out a random dead person's name. Lenin. Of course, I go communist with it.
You have to have no. I thought you were going. You don't like the Beatles, or else you. Because
no. I was going Lenin.
You were going Lenin.
I was going Lenin, Russia. At any rate, so that's all the stuff that's going on and where we are right now, and what we are actually here today is at the end of last week's episode. We pulled a record, and it is from Adam's collection. So season 1, episode 6 is The Wonder Years, The Upsides. And I'm gonna turn it over to you there, buddy.
Yeah. So this record was released in January of 2010. January 26, 2010 to be exact. It was recorded at Skylight Studio in Fairless Hills, which is less than an hour from where Paul and I are sitting.
It is not far from here.
Wonder Years is a local Philadelphia band. Record was produced by, I hope I'm pronouncing his last name correct, pronounced by Vince Ratty, Ratti. I'm assuming Ratty.
Yeah, that's probably how it's
Vince Ratty, you might know him if you know the Philly, music scene. Vince Ratty is the guitar player for the Philly band Zoloft the Rock and Roll Destroyer,
which I've actually never seen them, but I've heard of them, and I fucking love the name of that band.
Yeah.
It's just it's one of those really that's just a cool band name.
I actually I saw Zoloft the Rock and Roll Destroyer when I was in high school.
Okay.
I used to be in a band, and the drummer of the band was a really big fan of them, and he asked me if I wanted to go to the show with them, so I went with him. It was at the Troc balcony.
Okay.
Which I missed the Troc, but I missed the Troc balcony more, I think.
I don't. I missed the Troc. I don't really miss the balcony. But I did get to see a cool show at the balcony, but
I don't know. I like the balcony. Just is it was more it was just it was so tiny and intimate. I enjoyed it.
Well, with that in mind, tiny intimate setting, is there was a guy I used to work with who had won tickets to see Stinkin' Linzavetta, and it was at the balcony, and he knew I dug the Discord sound and whatnot. He's like, "Yo, you want to go?" And I'm like, "Yeah, fuck it, let's go." So we go. And I didn't know any. I just knew Stinkin' Linzavetta. I didn't know any of the other bands. But the second band going on was this 3-piece band, and it's just I'm like, there's a guitarist and a drummer, and I'm like, well, wait, where's the fucking bass player? There's no bass player. And then this girl comes out and she starts singing, and they're fucking rocking, and they were amazing. And it's this fucking small club with maybe 60 people in it, and I got to see the Yeah Yeah Yes.
I would say the second you said this girl comes out, I'm like, you saw the Yeah Yeah Yes.
Yeah, I saw the Yeah Yeah Yes.
That's what's up.
In the balcony, which I didn't, they said who they were. I'm like, oh, these guys are really fucking good. Yeah. And then maybe 6 months later, they blew up. I'm like, I saw them in a small club.
Actually, I was just listening to Zach and I put out the episode about Fargo. I was listening to Fargo, and when at the end of every episode of Summer Movie Club, Zach and I do a what are you watching? Anything else we're watching besides what we were covering on the podcast. And Zach was mentioning he watched a documentary called Meet Me in the Bathroom, which is about the late 90s, early 2000s New York garage rock scene.
Okay.
So they talk to bands. They talk to the Strokes and LCD Sound System. They talk about Interpol, and they talk about the AAS. Yeah. So if you're, interested in that era of music, go watch that. But I've never actively pursued the AAS, but everything I've ever heard from them, I enjoy.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And I'm kind of the same way. Like I said, I didn't go that night to see the AAS, but like I remembered them, and I remembered seeing them, and I remembered they were awesome live, and they put on a great show. And then when when they blew up, I was like, yeah, I fucking saw them. That's awesome. So
I have a feeling they'd be one of those bands where like if I actually just took the time to sit down and listen to one of their albums in its entirety,
probably enjoy them.
I would probably enjoy them.
Exactly. So back to the album we're talking about.
So back to the album we're talking about. I don't know. Have we talked about the labels that these albums are coming out on? I don't think we did.
We did a little bit.
We did a little bit with Say Anything because it was released on a indie label,
yep,
and then re-released by like a subsidiary of Sony, and that's how we got the version we listened to. This has for the label. This is listed as No Sleep and Run for Cover.
Yeah.
Both of which who I'm assuming are like
they're
kind
like
of
small
indie labels.
Yeah.
I was reading up. Apparently, this album is the first in a trilogy.
Yes, I read that. Earlier too. The first being the Suburbia album.
No, this was the first. So this came out 2010. Okay. In 2011, we had Suburbia. I've given you all I know, and I've given you all I know. I've given you all, and now I'm nothing. Jesus, that was hard to read.
Yeah.
And then in 2013, they released The Greatest Generation. I always joke and say that I don't listen to music that I didn't listen to in high school. This album came out 2 years after I graduated high school. I found this band because a guy who I used to play roller hockey for a little bit, and a guy who I played with had mentioned going to see the Wonder Years and saying if I liked the other bands that he and I both liked, I would probably enjoy the Wonder Years. So I checked them out, and I was like, oh, it's a local Philly band. That's cool. And just kind of really enjoyed it. The album cover that I have the deluxe edition of the album.
It's a repress. You have a 2011 repress. Yep.
This is I don't know if you guys can see this at home, but this is the album cover originally. It's
I can see that.
I probably not. I can barely see it, and I'm sitting here looking at it. I'm not sure if that's the lead singer or something, but I remember seeing that album cover. And going like that's a cool I like a minimalist.
It's very minimalist, and I like this. I like this album cover too. So
I've always been like me and Paul have talked about enjoying craft beer. I've picked up beers strictly not looking at what style they were, not anything like that. Just strictly as we've learned from since we were little kids not to judge a book by its cover. I've bought beer and I've bought wine strictly because I enjoyed the way the label looked. I remember I bought a bottle of Chardonnay by Pennywise.
Okay.
And I bought it literally because the label is like this big on the thing, and it's like very just like this is what it is. This is who we make. This is who makes it. This is what year it came out, and like that's it. So I've always enjoyed. Actually, I was talking to somebody today. My aesthetic. I've realized I have a very boring aesthetic style. So things that are very like minimalist seem to like I'm drawn to things that are very minimalist. I was talking about how when I worked in the flooring department at work, people would be looking at like backsplashes and they'd be like, "Oh, do you like this?" And I'm like, "You don't want my opinion."
You don't want
I'm like, if it was up to me, I'm like, here's what you should do. I'm like, you should put down this thing that you have in your hand, and you should just buy 3x6 white subway tile because this might be in style right now, but 3x6 subway tile is timeless.
It's timeless. Yep.
I'm like, and then you can pair it with like a darker grout line, but just fucking go with that because it's simple and easy.
Yeah.
So I've always been that was one of the things that first attracted me. Like I think before I even listened to them, I saw that album and thought that cover and thought that's a cool cover.
Yeah.
And then I listened to the album and I thoroughly enjoyed the album. I'm super curious, Paul, because it's not the exact time period, but it's around the same time period as Say Anything is a Real Boy.
Mm-hmm. It's a little later.
A few years later. To me, in the same wheelhouse genre-wise.
Okay. All right.
I'm super curious of what your thoughts on this album would be.
Okay, so first, just like Say Anything, I hated the name of the band because it's as I explained in that episode, just because and I remember I never listened to the Wonder Years back in the day, and probably because I hated the band name because dude, come on, because I think because it came out like the same thing. Yeah, no, it's actually Honey Lemon Light.
Leaning Krugel's Honey Lemon Light.
Yeah,
I've had a lot of Leaning Krugel, but I've never had that.
I think there's a grapefruit in there too. So, but yeah. So excuse me. Yeah, I left you Mad Elf.
I was just talking about how I love Trogs Brewery. I do not like Mad Elf. Do not. I'm gonna drink it on this podcast because maybe this because it changes from year to year.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So maybe this one will change my mind on it.
I'm not a fan of Mad Elf. Actually, I put that in there specifically so you would drink it.
I'm like, I doubt it. But...
So we've had like in my I'll get back to not liking the band name in a second. But you know, we drink, we do this every week, and we bring different beers and whatnot. And then like I messaged Adam earlier, and I was like, dude, I'm not going out to buy beer because I have a hodgepodge of beer in the fridge right now. So how about we just drink that, and we'll get some stuff for next week, you know? And he's like, yeah, that's fine with me. So yeah, we're all over the place.
As per usual, I'm checking in beers on Untappd. Untappd is you can check into whatever venue you're drinking at, whatever bar, brewery, or whatever, and the way that you do the process that they use to check in like their locations is powered through Foursquare. I started a Foursquare account and added the Ottsville Record Garage
did you really?
On Foursquare. So I'm really hoping that I can now check
if you can check it in at the Ottsville Record Garage. If I can check in
this beer at the Ottsville Record Garage.
That would be great. That'd be cool.
Let me take a quick picture.
All about the social media, whatever market we did say in the pilot episode that this podcast is basically a big advertisement for OttsvilleRecordGarage.com. So there you go, and that'd be cool if you can do that. Yeah, it's weird. It's
just light shandy.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So
it's good. Don't get me wrong. It's good.
Yep.
It's just lighter shandy.
Yep. So okay. So again, say anything. Hate the band name. Did not like the band name The Wonder Years because taking it from the TV show. What do you know?
Taking it from your dog's namesake.
Well, yeah. Well, no. I mean, we may actually have a guest appearance later on from the great Winnie Cooper from TV's The Wonder Years. She may be showing up. We'll see. We'll see how it goes out. She's a little nervous about coming on. Is it on there?
It worked.
Oh, that's beautiful. All right, so
we can officially check in beers
at the Ottsville Record
Garage. Thank you, Foursquare.
That's great. Okay, so no, I don't like the band name, and it's probably why I did not check this band out. Also, did not realize that they were local. And honestly, I wish that I had checked them out because I absolutely love this fucking album.
Do you?
This is a great.
That makes me so happy in my heart.
This is a great album from front to back, and actually, like I listened to your copy a few times, but like I actually
I also I forgot to point out while I was talking about earlier, not only the one I was upset that the cover wasn't the cover that I wanted because it's a repressing, but I was happy with the fact that it's like green and yellow marble.
Yep, it's the yellow.
Because we talked about what was it that we talked about color? Oh, we talked about Say Anything.
Yep.
Say Anything was an orange,
which
vinyl.
Is cool, and this is a cool packaging and a cool colored vinyl. It's also it is a limited edition 2011 repressing. And this
I always enjoyed the artwork on it. And it says right here the artwork was designed by James. I'm gonna say Heimer, Heimer.
Okay.
So James Heimer, good job on the artwork for this album cover.
And what's cool, and we'll revisit this when we talk about the values towards the end of the podcast, but that is actually the one you have is a limited edition of only 500. So we're only 500 of that
no
press,
shit, really?
of that color. You know what I mean? So
that's interesting.
They have a bunch of different colors and whatnot, but like right now there's a deluxe edition that's available on OttsvilleRecordGarage.com. That is a purple and black marble pressing.
Oh, that's pretty. That's probably
so there's a lot of different repressings, but that particular one is limited to 500. But I really like this album from the back, and so like I said, I only listened to yours like a couple times, but otherwise I was listening to Spotify. Which they only have the deluxe edition. They don't have the regular ones. And I even like the extra songs there. I think it's like 4 songs or whatever. Yeah. I thought that the lyrics are fucking well written.
Yeah.
They feel real. Like that was, and that's the thing. Like
something that like to add to them feeling real. It sounds like when you're listening to it, it almost sounds like he's putting in like inside jokes between him and his friends.
Yeah. Oh no, they're definitely in there. And like, that's the difference. So I was very adamant about Say Anything, where it sounded like they were writing a bunch of emo songs to fuck Hot Topic girls.
Yeah.
Right? this album, like, yes, we agree that everybody learns that, not everybody, but most people learn how to play music and get into bands to get lead. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So that aside, this album and these songs are not that.
No.
You know, this album and these songs
They seem genuine.
They're genuine. They're good. They're well written. The music is not just like, well, we're going to put a chunk here because that's what we do. We're going to put the stop here because that's what you're supposed to do. Yeah. Everything in here is like it's organic and it's real, and you feel it, and you feel it in the singing, you feel it and even in the playing. One of the things that actually struck me about this album in general was the recording quality of this album. Mm-hmm. Probably, you know, at the times they recorded it was most likely recorded digitally on, like, you know, the fuck's it called? It's a fucking recording software that everybody has, Pro Tools. So,
yeah.
So it's like, you know, like it's probably like you know, definitely a fucking Pro Tools studio recording. However, everything is so fucking good. Like just everything is mixed well. It sounds well. It's mastered well. And I'm not a drummer. I could fucking care less about drums, except the drums sound fucking fantastic on this album. That's another thing. And that was the first thing that got me. Like, you could hear every single fucking
I've talked about this on the podcast before, where I'm a guitar player, but a lot of the notes I've taken on the albums, I've mentioned like other instruments specifically. You don't identify as a guitar player. You identify as a bass player.
Yes, because I'm a bass player who happens to play guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bass was your first instrument.
No, guitar was my first instrument.
Okay.
But I became a bass player because there were no bass players around.
Gotcha.
And I ended up being a much better bass player than I was a guitar player. And one of the reasons is because I played bass like you play a guitar. But like it's hard to explain. But like, because I didn't like, and I never really truly learned guitar. I never really truly learned bass. It just bass is. It just flows for me. It's just better. But no, I am a bass player who happens to play guitar.
Oh.
You know, so yeah, so that's
because it's funny because I've seen Paul play banjo more than I've seen you play bass.
I don't play bass that often anymore.
Yeah, I've definitely seen you play guitar far more often than I've seen you play bass.
I've been playing guitar primarily for the last almost 20 years, where bass has been very secondary. You know, when I was starting to get into Irish music, you know, it was like one of those things where it's like, well, I'm going to do something different. I've been playing bass for all these years, and, you know, doing like the you know, that's how I got into Irish music. Like, I was playing punk rock and indie rock and all that kind of stuff, and I was the bass player, and I had a lot of like different bands or different formations of the same band and whatnot. And then when the last one just like broke up, I actually said, like, I'm fucking done with music. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not doing it anymore. And that lasted, I didn't touch an instrument, and that lasted 2 weeks. And I had a shitty acoustic guitar sitting around at the house. I just started fucking around, and I just, for whatever reason, I started looking up, you know, chords and lyrics and songs. I started looking up Irish music, and I was like, oh, this is actually pretty simple to play. It's kind of like, you know, it's almost like a lot of Irish music is very punk rock-esque. Even like the folk stuff, it's still the same type of pattern, same type of thing. So that's why
you get a lot of like the Irish punk bands play all of the traditional Irish folk songs and shit. So.
And that's how I got into Irish music. Was I said, well, I'm just going to go a completely different direction. I'm not going to play bass anymore. I'm going to play guitar. I'm going to sing. I'm going to start a new band, which I did. I started a band at that time called Irish Terry Conklin, which is kind of like my test run. So we did that like for about 2 years.
Your drummer was hot.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about her though. We don't want to talk about her. Just, it's bad. It's bad. We
change the subject.
Yes, change the subject. It's better. It's better she doesn't get mentioned.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, too, I thought your keyboard player was hot too. So
yeah, well, she was my sister-in-law, so I can't really, you know, I really can't comment on that. So
I don't give a
shit.
Yeah,
you can comment all you want. So, but
also Brett was hot.
Brett was cute. Brett was, he had a little bit of hair left at that point. So, you know, he was like, nah. But so Irish Terry Conklin lasted about a year or two, and then you know, but I knew that wasn't going anywhere. It wasn't meant to do anything. It wasn't meant to go. It was like
it was your what's the word the phrase that they use, the proof of
concept. Yeah. So then so Irish Terry Conklin ended. I was kind of like doing a solo, trying to join another band, but thinking maybe I should just start my own band. And then pretty much it just came down to what was going to happen first, and I ended up starting Birmingham 6, and that was we played our first show on New Year's Eve 2006. So it's been like, what's it been, almost 20 years, 18 years, 16 years, something like that. It's been a long time.
17.
It's been a long time. Yeah, it's like I have actually been in Birmingham 6 longer than my first marriage. So my first marriage lasted 14 years.
That's pretty fun.
Almost to the day. Birmingham 6 has been around for, 16 years, 17 years. Yes.
That's fucking great.
So there you go.
But yeah, so that's the thing. Like, I feel like I can definitely tell the difference between like a quality recording and a shitty recording. If you put a shitty recording next to a quality recording, very obviously, like, to tell the difference.
Yeah.
Like, I could take something like this, put it next to something that I've recorded on my computer, and very obviously tell the difference.
Right.
If you put like a good quality, like a great quality recording, and like a slightly less than great quality recording, I can't tell the difference. But it seems like
Sometimes
I feel
I
like
can. Sometimes
I feel
I
like
can.
you
Sometimes
might be
I can't.
more
Yeah.
in depth with it.
It depends. Well, it's kind of like,
Because you've done like actual recording yourself.
Yeah, but
So-
like I don't think I'm as in tune with recording. It's funny. I'm actually more in tune to movies than I am recording, because when I was in the movie industry, one of the things I had to do, part of my responsibilities was QAing the movies that we were putting out. So, which some distributors only do like a quick QA, which is like they watch the first 10 minutes, the last 10 minutes, and then they like do just a quick through each reel to just see, okay, is it okay?
Yeah.
We used to do full QAs for everything we did.
So you'd have to watch everything
So
for
we
quality.
watch it from the very beginning to the very end, from the very beginning to the last credit and whatnot. And it didn't matter. I remember the one time, man, I wanted to fucking kill my boss, right? Because it was a Russian play.
Mm-hmm.
It was a 4-hour Russian play, and the worst part about it was
in Russian.
in Russian.
Jesus.
Now, if we were doing
For those of you listening and watching at home, Paul doesn't speak Russian.
I don't speak
He
Russian.
barely speaks English.
Now on our Blu-ray version of it, it had subtitles, but this wasn't the Blu-ray. This is DCP, which is basically just a different type of file that is used in movies. And so the DCP with our thing, we could watch the DCPs. We actually had like a server, projector server, and a thing that we just had hooked up through cables to like on a giant TV, but we couldn't do we had the subtitles in the movie, except with our setup, because we didn't have a full-fledged projector thing server, we couldn't see the subtitles. So I had to watch a fucking 4-hour movie, 4-hour play in Russian without subtitles. And when you're QAing it, you're looking for interference in the back. You're looking for the audio sync being off and stuff like that. So I'm watching it, and I'm like, okay, cool. And it's getting towards the end, and then out of nowhere, the fucking credits just cut off in the middle. And I'm just like, I hope that was on fucking purpose. So like I called my boss over, because he put the file together, and I was like, yo, dude, credits supposed to cut off like that? Because sometimes there's artistic things where people just like, yeah, this is how it ends. He's like, what do you mean it cut off? Like what? I'm like, oh,
Jesus.
So I showed him. He's like, no, I have to rewrap it. And I just looked at him. I didn't say a word. I didn't look at him. He just turned to me. He's like, I'll QA it. I'll do the re-QA. I'm like, thank you. Fucking thank you. But after like 4 hours, but so I will notice things in movies and television shows now. Like my old boss, like when he left our job, he actually went to work at Netflix. And one day, this is a couple years after, he was still working at Netflix, and I was watching, what's the fucking show with Elliot Page is in it, and it's the kids.
Oh,
what the fuck is that?
Umbrella
Academy. So I'm watching. I still have to get caught up on it. I think they're like have like the 4th season coming out. I still haven't watched the 3rd yet.
I think they only have 2 seasons. Of
No,
that
they have
show.
3. They
Do they?
definitely have 3. Yeah, because I haven't caught up. But I'm watching.
I don't remember.
I
I
think
watched
it's
that
season
show
2.
and I don't remember.
I was watching it,
Let me look it
and I see something, and it was like the smallest fucking thing in the world, and it's called artifacting, where basically there's interference in the picture, and it's like the stupidest thing. It's like on this fence line behind the one character walking by.
Oh yeah,
and
I
just
had 3 seasons.
Yeah, I just messaged him. I was like, "Yo, dude, what's with that artifacting in whatever episode?" And like, then he's like, "Wait, what artifacting?" And I'm like, it's at this point. I gave him like the time signature and all that kind of shit, and like, because we're just going back and forth through text, and he writes me back. He's like, "Motherfucker, how did you catch that?" I'm like, "Because you had me sit there and watch 4-hour fucking Russian movies, dude." I'm like, and he's like, "Yeah, this did not make it. Like, none of our QA people caught that.
This is my fucking job."
I know, right? I was like, can Netflix just hire me to sit at home and watch your fucking shitty shows so I can pick up the artifact in the back that apparently your multiple levels of QA didn't pick up? So that was that. That's what I'm saying. So I can pick up movie stuff better than I can.
Let's not knock Netflix because, like, yeah, they put out some shit, but they put out some quality stuff.
Oh no, I'm just fucking around.
They're just very much in the ilk of like, let's throw a bunch of shit at the wall and one thing will stick.
Well, it's like that South Park episode where it's like I forget what I forget what the name of the episode is, but every time like it has to do with Netflix, and like you call Netflix, and they're like, "Hello, Netflix, you've been greenlighted." So it's because Netflix will put anything out. So yeah.
But you know what bums me out about Netflix?
What's that?
Is that there's shows that I've really enjoyed that Netflix like shit canned after a season.
Mindhunter.
Mindhunter got 2 seasons.
Yeah, but still they shit canned it after 2 seasons.
There was a season. There was a fuck. What was it called? There was a series on Netflix that I enjoyed called, I think it's called Everything Sucks, or something like that. But it's about like this. Essentially, it's about like this like kid who's like a freshman in high school who like wants to make movies.
Okay.
And so he basically like writes this like shitty science fiction movie, and like him and a bunch of the kids in the school, like shoot and shoot it and everything. It sounds very like a Little Rascals episode, but it's actually like
that's cool.
But
cool.
It's not a Little Rascals episode.
Right.
It's funny, like the one kid on the show, it makes me laugh because like he's really like he's like the actor kid at the school, and he's like really into like indie film and shit, and this takes place in like the 90s, so he wears the exact same jacket that Kevin Smith wears as Silent Bob. And I'm like, that's fucking funny.
That is funny.
But yeah, so I feel like, yeah.
So
to get back to the album, I feel like you might be able to pick up on subtle nuances of recordings that I can't.
Sometimes I can. Sometimes I'm just oblivious. But I will say that also
it smells rough, dude.
Yeah, well, this is good too. I switched to Nugget Nectar, and you got the Mad Elf, 11%. That is rough.
Is this 11%?
11%,
Jesus Christ. What year is this? Is this last year?
This is last year.
2022.
Yeah. So one of the things I actually and it's again. This album was such a pleasant surprise for me. It really was. I actually really you're back and forth. No, this album was such a fucking pleasant surprise for me. And one of the things I usually hate with music in general, bands and music in general, are obvious hometown references. Mm-hmm. It's just sometimes it's just stupid, especially Philly ones. Sometimes it's just like, I ate a cheesesteak at Pat's. It's like, shut the fuck up. Do you even know anything about Philly? Like,
I say, but the Philly references in this are kind of.
I love them all, and I don't know if it's because I like when he's talking about certain references, I'm like, no, I've been there. Yeah. I know where Bancroft Street is. You know what I mean? Yeah. I know where in South Philly you're talking about. I've seen the fountain go on in Logan Circle. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if it's because I can put myself in those places because I've actually been there, or if it's just that they're just so genuine. Like I said, that is the main thing that I fucking love about this album, is that it's just the whole album is just so fucking genuine. Yeah. It really is, and that's what I like about it. But like, there's and I don't know if you get it. I'm actually wondering if you did get it. But my actually favorite hometown reference is probably the most subtle hometown reference in this.
What's that?
It is the song New Year's Eve with Carl Weathers.
What did you say?
That's the name of the song. The name of the song is New Year's Eve with Carl Weathers.
That's the hometown reference.
You don't get the hometown reference?
No.
You are a movie guy and you don't get the fucking hometown reference. Rocky 1, Apollo Creed, played by Carl Weathers, happens on New Year's Eve at the Philadelphia Spectrum. On New Year's Day at the Philadelphia Spectrum.
Does it happen New Year's Day?
It happens New Year's Day.
I didn't realize it
that's why like as I'm looking through, I'm like, okay, no, that is awesome. That that I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm like, okay, you get so, and it's funny because these guys aren't actually from Philly.
Yeah.
But like, so I do have an issue. Like I if I talk to these guys in person, I would really hope they're not like, well, we're from Philly. Like, no, you lived in Philly for a while, but you're from Lansdale, which is also like, that's like 40 minutes from me.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I like right now, if people say, you know, where are you from? I'm like, well, I'm from Philly, but I no longer live in Philly.
I've
mean?
I've always even gone as so far as like people will say, where are you from? I don't say Philadelphia.
You say Northeast.
I say Northeast Philadelphia.
Yes, yeah, because it's a different character.
Yeah.
But no, but like these guys, like they get it. They get, you know, and like I said, like that right there was like one of like those subtle references, like a subtle like fucking Philadelphia hometown reference, and I'm like, okay, I enjoy these, and like the other songs, like, you know, like about Logan Circle and stuff like that, and I forget what's another one. It's Never Sunny in South Philadelphia, Melrose Diner. These are, you know, these are all like Washington Square Park. These are all Philly areas. And again, these are all places where I've been, I've seen. I can, you know, and the things that you know they're talking about and playing about in the songs, like I've experienced. I've been through it. I'm like, all right, cool. Like that's where, like I said, it and it is funny because like I know, like, especially people my age or people older than me will say like, there's no new good music. Not that this is new music, but it's a band that, like, you know, like my peers would be like, well, they're a new band, like, even though they've been out for, you know, when did this come out? 2010.
Yeah, this came out in 2010, and this wasn't their first release.
Right, you know what I mean? But like I hope that, like, I'm not that person who's like, I can't listen to new music, I can't listen to this other shit, and, you know, no, I didn't like Say Anything because I didn't like Say Anything. I also don't like the Beatles, you know what I mean? But I like this album. I like this band, like, so much so that, like, on what day was I doing lawn? Sunday. I was mowing my lawn. I got the fucking 3 acres here, so it takes me probably about an hour to mow my lawn, and I got a zero turn. It's fucking awesome. So what I usually do is I'll get on the zero turn. I'll have myself a fucking tall boy of some sort of Mexican beer that Adam hates because he hates Mexican people, as we discussed last week.
Just real quick, their first release was Get Stoked on It in 2007.
Okay.
Per Wikipedia, they've been together since 2005.
Okay. Cool.
Continue.
Thank you. But so I'll get on my zero turn and I'll do this, and so like I listen to the album again, and like to the point where, so I have this tendency, and Adam has made references to this before, where I'll hear a band, I'll be like, well, I like that one album and nothing else. Hence Bright Eyes. I like, you know, it's Wide Awake, It's Morning. Don't like any other Bright Eyes. Gaslight Anthem is another one where I like one of their albums but nothing else, and I was like, oh, is this going to be one of those bands where I like one album? So as I was doing the lawn work, I threw on the Suburbia album, and I didn't get in depth in it. I did listen through it, I'm like, no, this is fucking good. And then of course, like, Spotify goes into like the automatic like shuffle after that, and fucking Say Anything came on. I'm like, fucking turn that shit off. But yeah, no, so no, I actually like this album so much that yes, I turned and I started to look into like other albums of theirs, and also like that brings me back, like Frank, who was our guest on whatever episode it was where we talked about the Smiths, The Queen Is Dead. He had actually told me years ago, you got to check out Aaron West and the Roaring Twenties, which is the singer of the band, right? Or something. I think someone from the band is part of Aaron West and the Roaring Twenties.
Of the Wonder Years?
Yeah.
I have no
I noticed there's a connection there with the Wonder Years and Aaron West and the Roaring Twenties.
A kid that used to work for me told me that he was in a Wawa the other day, and he ran into the lead singer of the Wonder Years.
Okay.
And he said, hey, my supervisor really likes your band. And he's like, cool. He's like, my old supervisor really likes your band. And he's like, cool. And I'm like, it's kind of impressive, like, because I listen to them, and if I saw, like, if you gave me a lineup, I would not be able to tell you any of the who any of the dudes in the band.
Dan Campbell, Dan Soupy Campbell is the lead singer of the Wonder Years, is the singer of Aaron West and the Roaring Twenties. So I even looked them up, and that shit, I looked up the first album, man. That shit is fucking deep. It's really sad album, really, but it's also very good. And like I said, Frank had been telling me for years, he's like, dude, you got to check out Aaron Weston and Roar 20s. You'll fucking love him. He says that I sound like that guy singing, and I don't hear that. I don't hear that at all. But also people say I sound like Cat Stevens, and I don't fucking hear that either. But
I went to high school with a guy who he was actually, when I was in a band in high school, he was the other guitar player in the band, and then he had another band where that band covered a brand new song.
Okay.
And he told me that I think I am a terrible singer, and I tell that to people all the time. He likes the way I sing, and he says that I sound like the lead singer of Brand New. I'm like, oh, that's cool, man. You're deaf.
Yeah, right. Cool. But no, really, like I this is what, and this is kind of honestly one of the things I was hoping would come out of this, is that, you know,
yeah,
we're doing
I think that's the best thing. That's like best case scenario of this podcast would be.
Ooh, we're playing footsie with
Yeah, we are.
Nice.
That's best case scenario of this podcast is you have something on your list that I have zero interest in, or I have something on my list that you have zero interest in, and we come to enjoy. Like I said 2 weeks ago when we covered the Smiths, I've never really sat down and listened to the Smiths, and I've always meant to get into the Smiths, and The Queen is Dead is that springboard to get me there.
Yep.
So yeah.
But no, and this is one of the albums, when I looked through your 25, I was just like, oh. Like there's stuff in your 25 where I'm like, okay, cool.
No.
Cool. This is like that bunch where I was like, ugh, all right. But now I'm like, fuck yeah, man. I want to hear more about the Wonder Years. I want to listen to this album some more. So now I seriously, and I hope people who are viewers and our listeners, I hope that you'll do the same. Like I have my one friend, Tom. See, Tom, I finally fucking mentioned your name. I usually just say my friend. There you go, Tom. Tom. This is a different Tom than the one I worked with. But at any rate, he's actually behind on episodes. Like, listen to him because he's actually going back and listening to the albums we're talking about.
Oh, okay.
And then listen, because they'll see, okay, they're talking about this. Let me go listen to this album. Sometimes he has to reacquaint himself with the album. Sometimes he's never heard of it at all. So like when he was over yesterday with his wife, and we were talking about the podcast, and he's like, yeah, I'm listening to Say Anything. I haven't listened to the episode yet, but I'm listening to Say Anything now, and I'm having a really hard time getting through the first like 4 songs. I'm like, no, it doesn't get any better, trust me. So
just to inform you, on September 9th, 2003, if you guys happen to be in
2003 or 2023,
excuse me. If you guys happen to be in the Philadelphia area, the Wonder Years is actually playing the third in this trilogy, The Greatest Generation album in its entirety at Franklin Music Hall, or formerly known as the Electric Factory.
That is the second Saturday, and I am playing a show that night. That is the second Saturday. The second Saturday of every month, I am at the Horse in Sellersville, and you should come see me play. Unless you're going to that show, but you should come see me play at the Horse the second Saturday of every month and get their wings because they're delicious. We're going to do that one night too. Actually, I want to because I fucked up dinner last week.
You were talking about their wings.
Yeah, their wings are amazing, but I fucked up dinner like I'm the primary cook at the house since I'm the stay-at-home dad and cleaner and all that kind of stuff, while my wonderful and beautiful wife works very hard to let me be the stay-at-home dad who has to do all the cleaning and the cooking.
Outdoors at Franklin Music Hall.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I didn't know they did.
Yeah, I didn't know they did outdoors either.
Outdoor shit there. That's fun.
But yeah, so I fucked up dinner. I followed the recipe. So that's the thing. Okay, so I didn't really fuck up dinner. I followed the recipe exactly. It was just a shitty recipe. It really wasn't that good. I don't even remember what it was. Eventually we gave it to the dogs.
And where did you find the recipe?
One of the cookbooks I had, when I was explaining, I got the cookbooks and I want to buy more. So I'm actually going to get rid of this cookbook because I didn't find anything else that I liked anyway. But at any rate, so I fucked up the recipe and I'm like, listen, we can't eat this. This is horrible. No. And she's like, I'm kind of wanting wings from the Horse. So I'm like, all right, fuck it, yeah. So we ordered a bunch of wings. And I was like thinking, like, dude, we got to do it on a podcast, but we should do like different places because there's Hicken, which is also like on 611, which you pass in. They also have really good wings too. Not as good as the Horse, but they're still pretty good. Yeah. So I wouldn't mind doing, besides the craft beers we drink plus the booze, and oh man, we throw some wings in there. But we're not doing like the fucking hot take. No. Because personally, I can't deal with the heat anyway. Yeah, if it's like above medium, like I seriously will just sit there and start fucking sweating. It's ridiculous. Yeah. So So what are your 3 favorite songs on this album?
It's funny because you made a point of loving all of the hometown references. Mm-hmm. First song, which is probably my number 1, first song I ever heard by the Wonder Years was Logan Circle.
Okay.
So I'm going to put Logan Circle on my number 1. I'm also going to put Melrose Diner.
Okay.
And probably Washington Square Park.
Okay. Nice. All local. Local. Okay.
Washington, so those 3. Dynamite Shovel is like really fighting hard to be on that top 3.
Okay.
But I'd probably put those 3 as my 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
What about you?
My number 1, absolute number 1 on this album, because it really is my favorite song. It goes back to, hey, I was at a ska festival this past weekend. Hey, thanks. Definitely is a ska feel to it.
Hey Thanks. I want to talk about Hey Thanks because I referenced that Vince Ratty is the guitar player for Zoloft.
Oh, right. And the singer. Yeah.
The girl, Rachel Minton, I want to say.
I forget. I looked it up earlier.
Rachel Minton is the singer for Zoloft Rock and Roll Destroyer and does the guest vocals on Hey Thanks.
Yeah.
And it's funny. Keep going. Keep talking.
Hey Thanks is definitely like my favorite song on the album. That's definitely my number 1. Like, all right, because it bops and it's like, all right, cool. You got the trombone in there. Her singing, like it. If she wasn't there, the song would still probably be my favorite. But like having her on there actually makes it even better.
Yeah.
My second favorite song is actually the first song, my last semester. I just like the way that it starts and it just drives. It's a really good start to the album. And then number 3 is Logan Circle.
Yeah.
It's a great start. Like you go my last semester in the Logan Circle. I'm like, all right, I was in listening to my last semester. I'm like, all right, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in. Sometimes it takes me a couple songs to be like, all right, I'm into this album. Like, like right away, I'm like, okay.
Now,
right.
I'm really happy that you brought up My Last Semester and we both brought up Logan Circle. There's a reoccurring line on this album.
Yeah.
You get it in My Last Semester and you get it in Logan Circle and you get it a couple times throughout the course of the album. But you get the line, I'm not sad anymore, I'm just tired.
I'm just tired of this place.
My Last Semester, you get I'm tired of this place. Logan Circle, you get I'm not sad anymore, I'm just tired most nights.
Right.
Or most nights.
And then there's a reference on the last song where actually it sounds like each of the different band members is singing that line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was saying to Paul, there's a lyric that if you read, it's been a very, like I said, my records live at Paul's house, which are an hour away from my house.
Let me see this real quick.
And it's been a very long time since I've actually sat down and listened to this copy of the song. On Hey Thanks, the very last line written in the lyrics is, I'm not sad anymore and you're to blame.
Ah, nice.
Which I've always loved the way that's worded is like, I'm not, like, because it sounds harsh, but it's him saying like,
no, man, no, yeah.
Like the way it's worded, like when you throw the word blame in there, like it makes it sound worse than it is. But like saying like I'm like throughout the course of the album he's been saying I'm not sad anymore, I'm just tired, I'm not sad anymore, like I'm just tired of this place. And then he finally gets to this point where it's like I'm not sad anymore and you're the reason why I'm not sad anymore.
So one of the things too, and I like this reference because we talked about in the Smiths how like we said like the Smiths were kind of like the predecessor of emo and like that kind of thing.
The one lyric, I'm not
into
anything as much as people love Morrissey.
Exactly. I don't think I love anything the way that some people love Morrissey. And so here's what I actually like about that album. Like I love the Smiths. I love Morrissey. Sounds like Dan Campbell, right? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Soupy Campbell, which is also a reference to Campbell Soup, which is right in Camden, New Jersey. But thing I like about that is I'm sure a lot of people tell him, wait, you're like in an emo band and you don't like Morrissey and you don't like the Smiths, and because he probably doesn't. I'm guessing by that line that he doesn't.
That line's in It's Never Sunny, right?
Yes, yeah. And that is actually how I deal with all the time, where people are like, you're a musician and you don't like the Beatles and you don't like Led Zeppelin. It's like I just don't like them.
See,
you know what I mean?
I love the line. I don't think I love anything the way some people love Morrissey.
Yeah.
But I love the line that comes after it. It's just that nothing speaks to me that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just you know what I mean? It's like I just
like it's
I don't
like
get
I've
it.
said
It's
like
fine.
like
It's good.
I think I said like when we covered the Smiths, like I felt that as an emo kid at heart I should know that album and love the Smiths.
Yeah.
And he's basically saying like it's fucking cool.
Yeah,
like,
it's cool, but
like
it's
yes,
not my
yeah,
thing.
like this is the kind of music
Yes.
I make, but that doesn't mean I have to fucking love everything that came from it.
Exactly. That's kind of like my point. Like I don't have to like the Beatles. I don't have to like Led Zeppelin. The Rolling Stones were better. Like I don't know what to fucking tell you. The Rolling Stones and The Who were better than the Beatles and Led Zeppelin. So
It reminds me very much like at a certain point, like when I left, I worked in healthcare for almost 10 years. No, over 10 years actually. And I left and I started working for Home Depot, and like my reason for leaving the hospital was because like I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
Like I just wanted to do things that would make me happy. Mm-hmm. And it kind of like speaks to that, like I'm not sad anymore.
Right.
Because I changed my situation. I'm not sad anymore because I did something different. Like I didn't do what people expected. I didn't listen to Morrissey as an emo kid. Mm-hmm. So I changed. Like I didn't do what was expected of me, and in the long run, it made my life better.
Okay, so real quick. Okay, we're gonna do something different here. Number
Also,
one.
This is the first time that we've had a similar song on. Our
Yes,
top
yeah, it
three.
is. Yeah, I think it's yeah. So okay, so this is gonna surprise you. Okay, least favorite song on this album.
Oh fuck, least favorite?
Yes, least favorite. Because we generally talk about our favorite song, our top 3 favorite, and our least favorite.
And we said before, it's not that they're bad songs. It's just that they're not as good as the other songs on the album.
Okay.
I might say Hostels and Brothels.
Okay, so here you go. Here's my least favorite song on this album. I don't fucking have one.
Nah.
I actually like this album so much that I don't have a least
don't get me
favorite
wrong.
song.
I love this album,
Yeah.
but if I had to put one at the bottom, I'd probably put Hostels and Brothels, and it's a good song.
Yeah, no, I don't even know if I would do that. Like, and I like the song that like references like the North Jersey punk scene with like the fist in the
This
air.
Party Sucks,
dude. I've seen the North Jersey punk scene. Dude.
I don't. What he says like I don't have to put my fist to look sweet or something like that.
All right, so we're gonna do something here.
It makes me very happy that I picked an album on my one of the
Yeah,
albums on
no,
my
I'm
list.
fucking- I
you
love it,
turned
man.
around on. That's
So-
awesome.
So here's what we're going to do. We have a special guest that's coming in. She's a little bit nervous. So I am going to put Adam on the spot here. This is going to be like that scene in Wayne's World where they have to go on the air and Wayne's not there and Garth has to be like,
Oh, I
like
got
this.
this.
So you're gonna fucking freestyle for a few
I'm a
minutes
podcasting
while I
professional.
go get our special guest she's a little bit nervous about coming on,
Yeah.
and it fits in with the Wonder Years. So go ahead and freestyle there, Adam.
Now that Paul's left the room, what a fucking douchebag. Am I right?
I'm still here.
Yeah. This is it. When I actually said to somebody like I'm probably not going to be recording very long tonight because. Like, I knew Paul didn't care for Say Anything. I had a very, very strong suspicion that Paul would not care for this album. So it kind of blows my mind, really, because this falls into that genre of music I like that I would assume Paul would make fun of me for. Yeah, it's just... If I remember correctly, like, I don't even remember... I'm trying to think about, like, buying this record. I think I bought this record down the shore. And I remember seeing it and going, oh, I mentioned earlier about the album cover. I remember seeing it and going, oh, fuck, I really want that album, but it's not the one that I want. But apparently, according to Paul, it's a limited edition. So, fuck it. And Paul is back, actually, with our guest. I didn't have to rant that long.
So our guest here, she's very nervous, very happy to have on the show, from the Wonder Years, Winnie Cooper. This is Winnie Cooper from the hit TV show The Wonder Years. This is Winnie Cooper right here. So this is my dog. Her name is literally, if you look at the tag, Adam, read her tag.
I will vouch. Yes. The tag on the collar says, if I can fucking get it, says Winnie Cooper from hit TV show The Wonder Years.
Yes. So this is my dog.
What's the little pink tag? Is that
Oh, it's just it's her rabies shot. So Winnie Cooper is a rescue dog. She's putting up. So I love this girl.
Do you want to give a shout out to the rescue?
I do. She is actually a full bred Boston Terrier. But she was a breeder dog, and she basically couldn't have puppies anymore. So the breeder was like, "Fuck it."
She had a rough life.
She had a rough life. So she got done doing the Wonder Years, being on TV, and she got a little slutty.
She got a little slutty.
She had a bunch of babies. She doesn't take care of them, so other people do. But then eventually her pimp was like, "Fuck you! I don't need you anymore, bitch."
Yeah.
And so all four Paws Rescue took her in, and
all four the number.
All four, ALL, 4, the number Paws, took her in, and we adopted her last fall. And her name at the thing was Winifred.
Oh, was it?
Winifred. And, you know, so I saw that, and I was like, oh my God, it's Winnie Cooper from TV's The Wonder Years. And my wife is like, we're going to adopt this dog, aren't we? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah,
we are. We are going to adopt her. So that is how Winnie Cooper from the hit TV show The Wonder Years is here with us today. She's a little nervous.
She's shaking. Her ears
She is shaking. I know, but she is a wonderful dog. So I will say, check out all four Paws Rescue. If you go to their website, you can also get to their pet finder, and you can see the different animals they have available. It's okay, baby. It's okay. We'll put you
Do they
down.
only have dogs, or do they also
They have dogs, they have cats and whatnot. So
do they have weird shit? Like iguanas?
I haven't seen that. They might. Who knows? But there's actually a lot of like rescues around here that have like farm animal rescues, like goats and donkeys and shit like that. But yeah, so we love Winnie Cooper. We love rescue animals of all sorts, whether they be dogs, cats, rabbits, goats, chickens. You know, so
Winnie Cooper is not happy.
she is not happy. She's a little nervous. She's
trembling.
She's like, listen, it's just like when you had to kiss Kevin. Yeah, it's okay. Don't worry. Don't worry. Your brother just died in Nam. He meets you at the playground. Then he takes advantage of your vulnerable.
There's also a Paul here, so it should be
there
natural.
There you go. All right, so I'm gonna put Winnie Cooper back. Good girl. But we wanted to show, since we are doing the Wonder Years, we had to bring Winnie Cooper from the hit TV show The Wonder Years on here. Yes, she's a good girl. So go freestyle again.
I feel like that dog I've always seen. Like, so Paul has two dogs. He has Winnie Cooper from the TV show The Wonder Years, and then he also has my parents' old dog, which became my sister's old dog, which is now Paul's current dog, Ella. And Ella's an attention whore, and I feel like Winnie Cooper would be an attention whore if she was just a little bit taller and could actually reach you when she stood up on her back legs.
Dude, Winnie Cooper's just learning how to be a dog. Yeah. Like, it really is, because she was a breeder dog, like I said, on a you know, like that was her job, was to have babies, and like
all she knows is how to get fucked.
Exactly. And but I mean, like it's what's great is
say that. I feel dirty saying that.
And she's really good at math, apparently. So so we got her in the fall. We used to have a little Yorkie mix called Councilman Norm, and he was like my little buddy, right? Like, I used to be able to like fucking put this dog in, like I used to be able to carry him around like a baby. He bit Adam.
So I have the scar. He bit me on Christmas Day.
Yes, he did.
That
was your fault, though.
It was. I don't hold it against Norm at all. It was completely my fault. I was fucking with him.
No, Norm was definitely 100% my dog. Norm got sick, unfortunately. Had some brain issues, so we had to put him down. Ella and Norm were very bonded.
Yeah,
like that's like Councilman Norm was called Councilman Norm. Ella, when we got Ella, we turned around and changed her name to Ella the intern. So the councilman had his intern.
Yeah.
And like, because she definitely, that was her boyfriend, you know? And so we were, you know, Katie was pregnant. We were getting ready to have the baby. We weren't going to get another dog, but Ella was just not happy. You could just tell she was just sad. She just wasn't happy. And then I saw Winnie Cooper, and I always wanted a Boston Terrier, and I was like, dude, this is like a win-win. Hopefully, like, it'll take care of Ella, and then, you know, then we have another dog. I know, I'm like, it could be a little tough with the baby and whatnot, but I'm sure we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Now, here's the fucking coolest thing about Winnie Cooper. What is that, like I said, she's had so many babies that when we brought Regina home from the hospital, Regina would cry And Winnie Cooper would run up to us and be like, "Yo, your fucking baby's crying. Go fucking take care of this."
Go
She's like,
handle
"Yo,
it.
you need me to do this? Do I gotta feed this kid? Like, come on,
I can't nurse it."
Dude, I swear to God, like, and it's the funniest thing. She loves Regina. She'll like we'll do belly time and back time like on the floor and whatnot. And Winnie Cooper comes up like we do belly time. Winnie Cooper will come crawling up, laying next to Regina, looking at her, be like, "Hi, what's up?" Giving her kisses and all that. Ella is warming up to Regina. You know, she's liking her a little bit more. But
I said Ella's an attention whore.
yeah, she is. Ella doesn't get as much attention now because we have Regina. Regina gets all the attention. But no. Winnie Cooper loves the baby and swear to God, anytime the baby like makes a sound, she's like, "Yo, your kid. Go get your kid.
Bro,
like, I got
fucking handle it.
Take care of this shit." So, but
I served my time. I did my nickel.
Exactly.
You fucking handle this.
Exactly. So as we said earlier, your copy is a 2011 limited edition reissue, yellow vinyl, limited to 500 copies. So there are only 500 copies of this album pressed.
I just kind of read over Paul's shoulder on these notes. Am I reading that properly? Why don't you say what the value is?
Oh, we'll get there. So as we have stated before, we go through and we check on Discogs, and we're just automatically grading these as very good. Plus, this actually skips, just so you know. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Probably.
So it wouldn't actually be a very good plus.
Yeah. Not
Actually,
to mention the fact that it's survived.
And, yeah.
If you take all of my albums, so all of my albums were sorted alphabetically. So if you take all of the back end of the alphabet, all of those albums are water damaged because they were closest to the floor. So this album's cover is fucked.
So here's the best part about Adam alphabetizing his albums and the fact that he's a little OCD.
Yeah.
Is he was having a family party over his house, and I walk down and I see all this stuff and I see it's in alphabetical order. So I just started grabbing piles of stuff and just moving around. And at one point, his now ex-wife walks down and she looks at me. She's like, "What are you doing?" And I just look at her. I'm like, "Rearranging his albums." And she's like, "He's gonna fucking lose his shit." I'm like, "Yes, he is. Yeah. That's all for you to handle." Yeah. She just shook her head and walked away.
I've always said I'm a very I've always probably fallen into the category of organized chaos. If you saw my workshop is a fucking mess, but I knew exactly where everything was. With my records and my DVD collection, everything was alphabetized until Paul's fucking asshole self shows up and fucks with it.
And I fucked with it because I knew that. I knew, like, I looked and I'm like, "Oh, he's got a nice setup here. Yeah, I gotta fuck with him."
Yeah,
you know, because that's what older brothers do to their little brothers. So you know, that's just what you do. You fuck with them. So here you go.
So one of your starts with W is on the bottom shelf, an inch above the floor.
Oh, where all the water. Yeah. But either way, we agreed on the very good plus grading just in general. The Discogs manufacturer's suggested retail price of this is $34.48, which we round up to $35, which brings our running totals. Adam's running total for 3 albums is at $116.
Oh, see, I just saw the 116. I didn't see the 34. I'm like, tell me that fucking album.
No, it's $35. My running total is at $151, so I am still beating you on that. But I still think that's going to change.
So wait, so this is, scroll back up. All right, so you had Bright Eyes at $78. You had your copy of The Queen is Dead is at $49. And then Songs in the Attic, $24.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, and here's the thing you got to think, because you hear it on.
No, so here's the thing. Paul let slip to me that he's looked through my collection and he said one of my records is on the expensive side.
Yes, it is.
So I saw the 116. I'm like, you're telling me that I had something worth 116 and something worth 200? Get the fuck out of here.
No. Yeah, I forget, but no, there's an album in there where I was like, oh fuck. But here's what I'll say. Okay, and I talked about this last week with like Sons and Yak. So these are the prices that are the suggested retail, right? Whether or not it sells for that is the whole like the fact that you know we did a little caveat because like my copy of Sons of the Addict is from a box set, but so I based it on a used copy which showed the very good plus value at $25 or $24. I would never sell a used copy of that for $24. Like it would probably be like maybe $5 or $6, if that. So so that's where, you know,
like I joked about selling my copy of Stardust for enough money to beat you.
Right.
someone might be stupid enough to buy it for $78, but that doesn't mean that's what you should sell it for.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like they say on Pawn Stars when people come in, they're like, well, it's on, I saw it was on eBay for $10,000. Like, did you see it for $10,000 or did it sell for $10,000?
Yeah, there's
a big difference. You know what I mean? So because you can say whatever you want to sell something for, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what it's going to sell for. That's the value.
Yeah.
This album here, though, with the very good, even the suggested retail being at 35, would probably sell for more than that. Mm-hmm. It actually probably would. If this was a legit very good plus, just based on there were only 6 copies of this for sale. So even the suggested retail of the very good plus at $35 was less than the cheapest copy of this of this album on Discogs at this time. So it'll probably actually sell for more than 35.
Do you remember where the skip is?
Oh, it's like 3 skips consecutive in the first song.
Oh, really?
Yep. The rest of the album's fine. It's just the first song. It's like, fuck. So I gotta look at it. I don't know if maybe it's like warped a little bit or what, but it didn't happen on the second side, so who knows? No. But it could just be something again, and that sometimes happens with these limited pressings. Shit's just not perfect. Yeah. So. But yeah. So that's what we got going on. This was like I said, I am very happy to have discovered the Wonder Years from this episode, and I am looking forward to discovering them some more. So why don't you bring up that box of Michael?
I meant to.
Go ahead.
I meant to check. Because the past 2 episodes have been guest episodes.
Yes.
And we've had the guest pick.
Yes.
I forgot to check on the Say Anything episode who drew the card. I did.
You did. So
because I remember
yes,
I just
you
listened
did.
to it.
Yes.
And I remember saying that it was the Queen is dead.
All right, so it's my turn to pick. Mix that shit up. All right, I'm gonna reach in and I'm gonna mix it up even more, as we can see here. God. Rush. The box of Michael. All right, I'm just going this one right here.
37.
Number 37.
My girlfriend sucked 37 dicks
in a row. All right.
Is it my handwriting or your handwriting?
It's yours.
Let me see.
Oh, God.
What is it? Is it Taking Back Sunday?
It's Taking Back Sunday.
Is it?
It's Taking Back Sunday. Tell all your friends. So, God, this is one of those albums.
This is one of those albums where I've talked about where Paul fucking makes fun of me for the shit that I listen to.
This is one of those albums where
awesome.
I am not particularly looking forward to this. Although I will say this, it's not horrible, I guess. I don't know.
There we go.
Not really looking forward to this. Possibly have a special guest on this one, right?
Yeah, I have to talk to him to make sure to tell him to clear his fucking plans.
Yep. So, these guys are also somewhat local, right?
No.
They're not.
No,
okay.
They, Taking Back Sunday was part of the, what's the fucking, it's New York. It's, like that, it like a New York City, not like New York City, it's like Staten Island.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So just like Billy Joel.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're like early 2000s Staten Island emo, them and Brand New, and there's a couple other bands that kind of fall into that genre.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, so far, like the majority, it's
also special edition pressing.
This is yellow and white marble. Mm-hmm. I was like, a lot of my fucking albums are colored.
Which is why I told you that I think eventually when it comes down to it, you're going to end up winning the value battle, because of stuff like that. So and that's totally cool. So I'm not looking forward to this.
No,
I
know you're not.
I've seen this band twice.
I've honestly, I'll talk about it.
Not for reasons of me wanting to see them, but
we'll talk about it when we cover it. But actually, this is the band that I've seen live the most.
Okay, all right.
So
there you go.
I'm super fucking excited that we get to tell all your friends.
So there you go. You start up your streak again of 2. So far the longest either of us have had of 2 in a row. So Adam had episodes 2 and 3, and then I had episodes 4 and 5, and now episode 6 and. Episode 7 will be Adam's picks. So this maybe you'll take the lead in the value. But yeah, we might have a special guest next week. We'll see. It could be a family affair.
Yeah.
And we'll go from there. I thank you again for hanging out with us, for listening. Hopefully you're still listening us to at the end of this podcast. We're actually
The hour 20 mark.
yeah, around 20 mark. That's all right. And that's it. Tune in next week. It is time to